Hi everyone, this is Steven and AJ for episode 3, bringing
Hello.
you more random news from last week. How you all doing? Christmas approaching, eh? How are you, Steven?
Well, happy holidays for one. I
Oh,
don't know
yeah,
why we have
that
to
too.
get so Jesus-y.
No comments there.
Yeah, sure. I am excited for another day of news. Do you want to lead the way?
I do indeed. So, first we have the news from the Middle East and technically East Asia. Chinese President Xi arrived in Riyadh. The news is from Islamabad, which is the capital of Pakistan. China, Pakistan, and Saudi Arabia are collaborating on an economic corridor project. It's almost a $30 billion project which lies in line with the Chinese Belt and Road Initiative. What do
Wow.
you think is going to be the impact, Stephen, all over the world? Because that seems like the three controversial countries getting together in an international partnership. That's going to raise some eyebrows.
It's a new coalition of countries that is likely to piss a lot of people off. Let's just go there.
That seems like it. Seems like Saudi Arabia is also in the midst of diversifying its relationships. They want to maintain relationships with the US, the Western countries, Russia, as well as China. And of course, they are part of GCC, which is the Gulf Cooperation countries, I think. But it seems like a lot is happening in the international economic spectrum.
I am wondering what the reaction will be from the other major powers. It does just seem like some economic relationships. We'll see where it goes from here.
Only time will tell. Moving
Yes.
on, let's go from one Middle Eastern country to another. We have the UN Human Rights Council decrying the protester killings in Iran. It's time we finally covered this news with the recent protests regarding the killing by the morality police. There have been at least 60 protesters shot dead, including children.
Hmm,
It's a mess.
just a little bit.
Special
Yeah.
session there has amplified the calls to condemn the violence. I don't really know how far can they go, personally speaking, about condemning it. I feel like there is a need to cause some swift action because you like innocent women, innocent children, and all these people who are trying to stand up for their rights against the authoritarian regime, they are being persecuted in the open. And I don't really know. I feel like the efforts have been limited from all these international establishments. What do you think, Stephen?
It's sort of the default response of third party countries when the first party's oppressing its own. I feel like we've seen this before in the communist regimes that slaughtered millions upon millions of people.
Indeed.
Not much was done about that because if you're killing your own people, what does country Y care about country X? It's different in the situation of, say, the Holocaust with Germany and the Jews, or China and the Uyghur Muslims. Those are situations that typically gather more attention because it is picking on an outsider that just happens to live in your country. And I feel like even though there are clearly minorities being targeted here and protesters being targeted, unless it's a significant and like targeted attack on a specific group of people, we're probably not going to see much reaction from external countries, which is really sad because you're right. What are we doing when we just kind of watch this sort of stuff happen?
True. So this news article is from November 22nd, 2022, and we are covering this on December 9th. Since the protests erupted in mid-September, there have been 305 reported casualties,
Hmm.
including at least 41 children, 53 men, 2 women, 5 children in 10 provinces across Iran. Of course, the majority in the Kurdish populated areas,
Mm,
which tends to be where minorities reside.
yeah.
And since 15th November 2022 till 22nd, when this article was covered, there have been 60 people killed. This is remarkable. I mean, we are in 21st century, the age of information, and yet you have the government that can go around killing their own population. And it seems even more striking considering Iran is so close to like all these European countries, so close to EU compared to a lot of the other countries that lie outside the domain. In fact, UN Human Rights Council, I believe it's somewhere located in Europe. So it just seems a little striking that these clashes still go unabated and there has not been much done on the international stage. It's disheartening.
Yeah, very disheartening. Makes me wonder, what do you do in this situation? How do you get people to treat each other better? Feel like the classic response we would receive is watch your own country. That is difficult because it's not like this is the first time this sort of thing's happening. It's just, as
No,
you
not
said,
at
we live in
all.
the information
Oh,
age, so now we know about it.
yeah,
And I hope that we can see some sort of sanctions or peacemakers in this type of situation, because it's just tragic to see any situation where children become a target.
yeah. Anyways, now on to lighter news, Stephen. Over to you.
Oh, I mean, I don't know about lighter, but
Uh, Comparatively.
yeah, we have Ebola. It's back again.
Did it
And
ever leave?
no, that's just how
Okay,
evolution
that's what I
works.
thought. It
This
just
is
evolves.
a new confirmed outbreak of the Sudan Ebola virus. It was reported on 27 November in the Cassandra district. A stillborn baby delivered at 28 weeks of gestation. So very, very sad. The mother was infected with it while pregnant. She recovered. Tragically, her child died. Now we have, up until the 5th of December, 142 confirmed cases reported by the Ugandan Ministry of Health, 55 deaths. So this is certainly not the most deadly version that we've seen. However, it is incredibly deadly. It's still Ebola and very scary. As of 5 December, 85% of the contacted people have completed their 21-day follow-up, which is excellent. It does seem like a lot of good work is going into the response to this, including other expert bodies like the World Health Organization looking to identify any sort of therapeutics or vaccines that could be trialed to assist here. And they have identified, it looks like, 3 different candidate vaccines. As of 8 December, 1,200 doses of them arrived in the country and will be evaluated for use. This is,
Interesting.
yeah, it's excellent to see this sort of thing, the world working together to help in such a bleak and scary situation for anyone that has to live through it. The World Health Organization has also been prioritizing surrounding countries to conduct risk assessments and even simulations to really understand what they need to do in the case of a new Ebola outbreak somewhere else. On 4
Hmm.
November, the World Health Organization revised the rapid risk assessment for this event from high to very high at the national level, low to high at
Dang,
regional.
people have been so focused on COVID
Yeah,
that
there's
we failed to.
other diseases.
Yeah, it seems like the isolation period for Ebola is way more than COVID. I think COVID came down from 14 to 10 days, if I remember correct.
Depends on the
With Ebola,
country
it's
you're
the.
in, I suppose.
That's true. That's true
I
too.
think the US is down to like 5, or fuck it, go to work. So it's an odd situation. However, Ebola, we know, is super deadly in a lot of cases. So people take it a little bit more seriously, which is helpful. It's unfortunate to see it coming back. I hope that some of the mRNA developments in vaccines will allow us to be able to assist in these types of situations faster and in a more effective way. And we've seen even breakthroughs in experimental influenza vaccines that can cover the base of pretty much all of it, which is unheard of because the flu vaccine that we typically get in at least the United States is kind of like throwing spaghetti at a wall. The experts do their best, but if they miss something, you might still get sick. And
Yeah.
that's led many people to think that it's ineffective, which is not true, but you might still get sick. So that sucks. Seeing collaboration is very encouraging. Obviously, all of this requires a ton of work and very diligent people to make sure that more innocent people are not infected just because they're traveling in a country. The WHO has not suggested any restrictions on travel or trade to Uganda, so
That's
that's
good.
excellent as well. They're not going to be shut out to the world. However, it is very strictly watched at the border just to make sure that people are not moving on with an active infection. On to a little bit older information. This
Older,
is
you say?
yeah, this is exciting. We have sequenced
What's exciting?
DNA in the Arctic from 2
Uh,
million years ago. What we've learned is that it was, I believe, 11 to 19 degrees Celsius hotter, which is far outside what many people believed would be hospitable to a lot of life. They've done this through gathering something known as environmental DNA, which is essentially pieces of creatures that fall off and collect in the environment, like skin, fur, and plant matter. According to these scientists, you can break that all down and figure out what all was there. Genetic traces of elephant like mastodons, reindeer, geese that roamed among birch and poplar trees, and marine
oh,
life, including horseshoe crabs and algae.
is this all confirmed? What happened to Adam's rib?
To what?
To Adam and Eve? Adam's rib?
Oh, their kids ate it.
Interesting. That's all supposed to have been 6000 BC. That's where the world began.
Well, sorry, I have to correct you, AJ. The world is 6,000 years old. It started on a Thursday afternoon in 4004 before Christ. So,
Interesting.
yeah, as we see clearly, this 2 million-year-old DNA that people
Yeah,
have
this is fake
PhDs to
news.
study. Yeah, it's fake news. So this is in Greenland, and it's just very exciting to see that life is more robust and interesting than perhaps we are led to think sometimes. Regardless of what happens to humanity with a continuation of climate change and just being on a rock spinning through outer space, life will likely continue. One of the biggest things that comes out of this is most people did not think that DNA could survive more than 1 million years, much shorter than that usually. It apparently could be a chemical reaction between the DNA and the soil where
Mm-hmm.
these particulate matter that falls off the animal or the plants attaches to some solid material and it slows that degradation that would naturally happen. And if we're able to find more of this, we really will revolutionize how we see the ancient world. And that is going to be very, very beautiful because who doesn't want to learn more about dinosaurs?
True that. Humans are so boring.
Kind of, but a less boring thing about humans. This is something I didn't know at all. The age system in South Korea is changing. So it turns out that they have multiple age systems in South Korea. The most widely used
Interesting.
one is the Korean age system, in which a person is 1 year old at birth and then gains a year on the first day of each new year, which sounds very confusing, but okay. Separate method,
Standardized.
the counting age, a person's age is calculated from zero at birth, and then a year is added on the 1st of January. And that is mainly used for calculating legal drinking, smoking age. What this really means is as of 8 January, a person that was born at the end of the year of 2002, December 31st, they would be 19 under the international system, 20 under the
Mm-hmm.
counting system, and 21 under the Korean system. And the reason it's changing is not because it's super confusing and inconvenient for everyone. It's because of socioeconomic costs. So it comes down to money. I am very glad that we will now be able to communicate more effectively throughout the world with at least the South Korean people. I'm not certain how they feel about it, since this is something that is a fundamental part of their culture. Would like to be sensitive to that fact. However, it does make it a lot easier to know how old someone is around the world based on the arbitrary idea of time. What are your thoughts
Yeah,
here?
I was just thinking about drinking age, to be honest.
Is that the only important one?
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. That's the only thing I care about. I've never voted in my life. Don't know what it says about me as a person. So that's the only concern I've ever had about age.
I really like that they'll be able to more accurately assess someone's age so that children aren't getting super easy access to booze just because they were born really late in a year and were 30 days into their existence.
I
So,
agree. I mean, there is a need for standardization because there
mhm,
are cases about statutory rapes and everything, and I think making it
that's
more
another big
standardized would,
concern.
yeah, would actually make it efficient. Generally, I am not for standardization, but like something like age, it makes more sense. If you're born on a certain day, after a certain number of days, you should be a certain age. It should not be an arbitrary number.
Yeah, if people want to hold true to a different system, they're certainly still welcome to use it in their own lives.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's people out there that go by lunar years, and that's fine.
But I also think Koreans have been lucky. They could ideally celebrate three birthdays, one for the Korean system, one for the counting system, and one for the international system.
I guess
Think
that
about how many
is
birthday cakes.
I don't know if that's how it would work, but I do think that some people would absolutely demand that.
Oh, yeah.
But next
Anyways,
week,
maybe we can wrap up. It
mhm,
was a pleasure bringing you probably one of the most serious days for news. We had the Iran human rights crisis, China, Saudi Arabia, and Pakistan striking an economic corridor deal, Ebola virus in Africa, Greenland having a 2 million year DNA strand, and South Korea trying to standardize how old people are. That's the wrap up for episode 3. Hope you liked it. Please like and subscribe, and looking forward to bring you more news. Hopefully, make it more fun, more randomized than it already is. Have a great week ahead, guys. Thank you.
bye.